don't know what this is. This is a trouble.
What do you mean?
You know, I was in Costco and bought some chocolate candy.
Good evening, everyone. I'd like to call our December 18th Board of Education meeting to order. The board has already met in executive session this evening and saluted the flag, so we're going to go ahead and start with the roll call.
Mr. Byrne?
Here.
Dr. Johnson?
Here.
Mrs. Richmond?
Here.
Mr. Fry?
Here.
Mrs. Korn?
Here.
Mrs. Gray? Mrs. McHugh?
Here.
Mrs. Woolbridge?
Here.
Mrs. Sparta?
Here.
Mr. Markarian? Here. Mr. Syed?
Here.
Madam President?
I'm not going to read the statement of public notice under item number 6 to everyone. If you don't have a copy of an agenda, there are copies here at the very front of the stage. I do want to point out, though, there will be 2 opportunities this evening for anyone to address the board if you like. The first time is for public comment on agenda items only. Please come up to the front of the room where I think there's a mic. Is there a mic? Okay. You'll have to sign in, state your name and address. We ask that you only comment once during each session and keep your comments to 5 minutes or less. The second opportunity for public comment is on any item that is on your mind. So that will be happening tonight. Our next item, item number 7, is our student representative, Mr. Milligan.
Hi, everybody. I wanted to start off with kind of some bad news that's been going on around my school. And the administration has started to take steps as far as the vaping is concerned around the school, and it's a really prevalent issue. And one of the steps that they started to implement was to take away half the bathrooms in school. And it's kind of been getting kind of more in school. We're trying to find better solutions and how to really stop this, because it is a big issue. And we're just trying to find some solutions right now. The administration just took that kind of factor to try to prevent it, but we're starting to find some better solutions. And moving on to some better news. Very, very exciting time around the school for the seniors. But everyone's starting to figure out where to go to college, and just everyone's starting to piece in. And it's a really exciting time. There's a lot of disappointments, obviously. Kids not getting where they want to go, but for the most part, it's starting to get very exciting now. All that, and the winter sports are starting to start off, and the whole school's rallying around them. And as far as academics are concerned, it's around the middle market period, so there's not really all that much going on. Just getting through the gist of it. Everyone's really excited for break, so that should be.
I can reiterate that. I think everyone is excited about break. Does anyone have any questions for Mr. Milligan? All right. Well, thank you for joining us. As always, you're welcome to stay, but you are more than welcome to leave if you have better things to do. Before the board leaves the stage for some really incredible student recognition this evening, I want to take a minute to do some board recognition, because tonight is our last public meeting for a beloved board member, Mr. John Fry. Mr. Fry started out in the public sector and then decided he wanted to get into education and was a very highly thought of physics teacher at Ridge before we had the great, great benefit of him deciding to run for the Board of Ed and joining us for the past 3 years. I think my colleagues would all agree he has added a very valuable perspective as a former teacher at Ridge. He has always been thoughtful and contributed very useful and helpful information. I know I personally will miss him greatly, and I think I speak for all of my colleagues. We all feel the same way. As a very small token of our appreciation from your colleagues on the board, we have all chipped in to get you this small gift that I want you to open in front of everyone very quickly. You have to open it up and show everyone. For those of you who can't see it, it is a ridge, 3/4 zip, that we hope Mr. Fry will wear with pride. All right. With that, the board is going to go sit in the audience. Bring your presentation packet for the master schedule. We're going to do some recognition and then go on to that.
Most wonderful time of year, we're running mad with Christmas day of Christmas, my true love gave to me a partridge in a pear tree. On the second day of Christmas, my true love gave to me 2 turtle doves and a partridge in a pear tree. On the fourth day of Christmas, third day of Christmas, my true love gave to me 5 golden rings, 4 golden 3 French hens, turtle doves, and a partridge in a pear tree. On the 9th day of Christmas, my true love gave to me 9 ladies dancing, 8 ladies dancing, 7 ladies dancing, 6 ladies dancing, 5. You better not shout, you better not cry, you better not in a pear tree. On the 9th, no! On the 8th, no! On the 7th, the husband shouts upon 7 drops of swings, 6 geese a lace of 5 golden rings, 4 calling birds, 3 French hens, 2 turtle doves, the horse and their army decked with dates and partridge in a pear tree. On the 11th day of Christmas, my true love gave to me 7 pipers piping, 10 lords a leaping, 9 ladies dancing, 8 maids a milking, 7 swans a swimming, 6 geese a laying, 5 golden rings, 4 calling birds, 3 French hens, 2 turtle doves, and Rudolph the red-nosed reindeer. On the 12th day of Christmas, my true love gave to me.
I made it out of clay, and when it's shiny and ready, the dreidel I shall play. Oh, dreidel, 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 dreidel.
It's 12 days of Christmas and 8 days of Hanukkah. This is a Christmas medley. No.
On the 12th day of Christmas, my true love gave to me 2, 2, 2, 2, 2, 2. On the 12th day, my true love gave to me 12 trumpets drumming like Olympus upon the stair. Pa, 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 pa. 11 pipers piping, 10 lords a leaping.
Thank you so much. Our winter concert is tomorrow evening at the high school at 7 o'clock, featuring this ensemble, the concert choir, the chorale, Voice of the Bridge, Madrigal Singers, and the Bridgemen. We hope you'll join us at 7 o'clock to bring in the holiday cheer. We did have a number of students who were accepted into the region organizations, region chorus, band, and orchestra. Raise your hand if you would. Region chorus, band, and wonderfully, but they also have degrees in black belts in martial arts. They're in the band or orchestras, drama club, forensics, world language clubs. They hold offices here in choir. They're in the National Honor Society. They make the honor roll, and sometimes
they even come home for dinner.
The alcohol choir brings them. Have a rehearsal tonight because the concert is tomorrow. Our final wish for you, a Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year.
We wish you a Merry Christmas. We wish you a Merry Christmas. We wish you a Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year. Good tidings we bring to you and your kin. Good tidings of Christmas and a Happy New Year. Now bring us some figgy pudding. Now bring us some figgy pudding. Now bring us some figgy pudding and bring it out here. For we all love figgy pudding. We all love figgy pudding. We all love figgy pudding. So bring some out here. Merry Christmas. Merry Christmas. Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year. Merry Christmas. Merry Christmas. Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year. We wish you a Merry Christmas. 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 We wish you a Merry
Okay. Well, that was wonderful. Hope you enjoyed our singers. That was really terrific. But we have all kinds of fun things lined up for tonight. I hope you noticed some treats out in the foyer. I just wanted to thank our Airmark team for putting those out in the lobby area today. And hopefully, if you didn't grab something on the way in, you'll grab something on the way out. And we're going to move right along. We have Rich Shell here tonight, our athletic director, and he's going to MC some recognition for some other wonderful student accomplishments that we're here to celebrate tonight as well. So thanks, Rich.
Thank you, Mr. Markarian, and you're not here for my, or your listening pleasure will not be something that I can bring you tonight. That was certainly a great show by the kids there, so very impressive. I am pleased to be here tonight to share with you two teams that earned state championships this year, our girls volleyball and our girls soccer teams. And although they had different seasons, they had a lot of parallels along the way, and I was really proud of them. I think this was a case where the most difficult things occurred early in the season, and where players had to buy in and make decisions and change positions and make sacrifices for the betterment of the team. And that was probably the things that most importantly lead to them becoming true teams and great teams. And we have, again, two outstanding teams, two great groups of young women that we're going to meet tonight. And so our first one is our girls soccer team with head coach Katie Donahue. And her assistant, her able assistant coach, Jessica Zubici.
Well, thank you to the board for inviting us tonight. Thank you to the administration and to Mr. Shell for everything that you do for us. We do have some talented singers on our team that might sing Max and Ruby, or a Little Einstein, or but for those of you that haven't followed us this season, we had a tremendous season and playing in the Skylane Conferences, some of the best soccer in the state, and we went through our season and we got prepared for the state tournament. We had some battles along the way. I think playing in our Somerset County tournament final, where we played an amazing game but somehow walked away with a defeat, was a great learning moment for us, because that Sunday morning when we got together and had a chance to practice in a really cold and dreary kind of morning outside, we could have either had a pity party and just said, oh, it's not our season, we're not going to be able to put things together, or we could kind of regroup and refocus and trust in each other. And that's what the players decided to do. And from that point on, we ended up having an incredible November. We ended up winning the toughest section in the state, the North 2 group. What's that? We did that 3 years in a row. So we're sectional champions 3 years in a row, which is kind of a big deal. We had the chance to come back and beat a team that bested us twice earlier in the season, and we did that in tremendous fashion in an overtime goal win, which is the best kind of wins to have, because then you can run out on the field as a coach still and feel like you're young. I think the players like it too. And then we ended up, progressing and getting a chance to play Westfield for the sectional final, which is a team that was undefeated, and you're able to advance on PKs through an amazing effort on so many players' parts. So once again, the chance to have that celebration, have that victory. We progressed to the state tournament, won the state semifinals to a team that had been kept off the board all year, and then got a chance to have a rematch of the 2015 game in the state championship game versus Freehold Township, which everyone said going to that game, there's no way we're going to be able to keep them scoreless, but we did, and we were able to unfortunately run out of time. We tied the state championship game, and I know the first time I saw the players again back at school when we did uniform collection, they're competitors, they're upset, they want to win it outright. And I think as you get older, you learn to appreciate things a little bit more. And I know as a head coach of this program now for the past decade, with Justin Cimecchio on my side, we've seen tremendous student athletes come into our program and graduate. And not just soccer players, but student athletes and everything that they do. And I really think it's a testament to, especially our senior class, who is leaving with 2 state championships and 3 sectional championships under their belt. Is a pretty cool way to end out their Ridge High School career. So remember, seniors especially, you're always a dev. So thank you so much for your efforts, and we look forward to everything. No crime. All right, so we're going to call up some players. I think we're going to stick in order of alphabetized, but before I do that, I just wrote myself a reminder. I want to thank Scott and Amy, our trainers at the high school, because they're amazing. They go above and beyond. The professionalism is unbelievable. As I said, thank you to Rich, but also to Judy Schroeder. And then we also had another teammate this year who couldn't be here tonight, and that's Katie King. She's a 4th grader that accepted us not heckling her, but bothering her all year, dedicating the season to her. She taught us what adversity is, and she reminds us every day just how fortunate we are to get a chance to go out and play and do that. So Katie couldn't make it here tonight, but I do want to make sure that I mentioned her about it. All right, I'm going to go alphabetically. The players that can make it tonight, we had some players at ski team and at basketball practice and all different places. But Bailey Aaron, Gabby Allen, Katie Aragon, Maddie Athanasiou, I did it right. Athanasiou. It's just a minute. Sorry. Alex Capo, Heather Cortese, Caitlin Gardner, Aaron Keith, Caitlin Lappy, Ollie Lindsay, Maddie Wood, all right, Caitlin Madden, Zoe Mitzner, Elizabeth Perna, Emily Perna, Emma Redmond, and Katie Wiley. We had several players making postseason honors. If we had some players make all conference, you can raise your hand. Let's do what the fire teacher did. All state. We had a player play in the All-American game a few weeks ago. We also have some players that are going on to play in college, and we have some other players that are just gearing up to get ready to pursue life after Ridge. But from the bottom of our hearts, thank you so much for all that you have done this season. It is a joy to coach you, and it is a joy to be part of Ridge Soccer. So thank you very much.
Congratulations, girls and coaches. It truly is magical to get to a state final one time. To be there 3 years in a row and to come out with 2 championships is just incredible. And it's hats off to the work and effort that you put in through your careers here. So we thank you and we commend you. Our next team, girls volleyball. Volleyball is one of our newer programs. It's approximately 11 years now. It's been in the high school. And Joanne Milo is the head coach and has been the only head coach in the program. And she found gold this year in the Group 4 state championships after being there twice previously. And again, kids have made sacrifices, dedicated the cause of the team above themselves. I can't say enough about them, how they handled adversity throughout the season and handled tough times and came out on top. So, Coach Milo, want to come forward?
I am the one and only girls volleyball coach, and I am so proud this year to have finally gotten a state title. I congratulate the girls soccer team. It is so hard to get a state title. This is our 3rd try, and the 3rd time was a charm, and I give the girls soccer team so much credit for being there so often, and we only hope to emulate your success over the years. This year, we had an undefeated season, which sounds tremendously hard, but we played in a couple tournaments where we lost, so we kind of got that losing thing out of the way, and we never felt the pressure of an undefeated season. And the girls worked harder than any team I've ever had. A lot of times I have to motivate my teams to work hard. These girls motivated themselves, and that is the recipe for success. So our year progressed. We too played the Skyline Conference. It is the toughest conference in volleyball, bar none. And this year we were just amazed to win the conference championship. We won the county championship, and we won the state championship. So we're very proud. I would like to also thank Rich. Rich, supports us, gives us what we need, and we couldn't do it without him. And I have 2 assistant coaches, our freshman coach, Teresa Stotts, and our JV coach, Mike Moody, who helped me and the program tremendously. Other than that, I think I'd like to just bring up the girls and introduce them to you. Our middle blocker is Evelina Adanja. One of our sophomore phenoms, Jasmine Davey. Our setter, Selma Elieti. Our opposite hitter, Isa Garcia. Our other sophomore phenom, Angela Pan. Her sister, our setter, Zoe Pan. Our outside hitter, Peyton Robb. Our newly recovered libero, Rachel Tam. Our other outside hitter, Chelsea Winniger. awards. There were Skyline Conference awards, Group 4 awards, and Rachel Tam got a first team All-State award. So, and I would also like to thank the soccer team for bringing to our attention Katie King. We didn't know who she was at first, and we decided as well that the funds we raised this year would go to her foundation. And again, we would only have the best prayers offered for her in her fight, and hopefully she comes through successfully. Finally, we too benefit from, we have excellent trainers, and they keep us healthy, and this was one of the healthiest years. We often have lost players in crucial times that affected our ability to win. And this year, they kept us together all the way through the season, and I can't tell you how good our trainers are at the high school. So thank you for that. Thank you. Thank you.
Once again, congratulations to both teams. Really, really proud of you, and not just for your success on the field, but how you represent the school and the community to take on these additional things of raising funds and really having a cause greater than ourselves. I can't commend you enough for that. So once again, congratulations.
Okay. So congratulations to all the girls and coaches. We really appreciate your coming out tonight. We're going to transition a little bit to a presentation. So it'd be a good opportunity if you're thinking, oh, I really want to get home and do homework. You might want to take advantage of that. And please, grab yourself a treat on the way out. And we'll be right back with you guys in just a moment. Okay. So after that choral performance, my mind is going left, right, up, down. I'll try to keep it organized and not go into song of all variety, which I'm sure everyone here will be much appreciative of. But I wanted to start just by introducing the staff that are here tonight. We're kind of working on this as a bit of a panel this evening, so you're going to see some folks coming up here. We're going to be kind of tag teaming this presentation a little bit because we're covering a lot of topics. So just to introduce some people, our Director of Curriculum is Dr. Heinemann. He's going to be joining us for some of the festivities this evening. Our Director of School Counseling is Jillian Shadis. She's here tonight as well. Our High School Principal, Drew Krause, is here. Michael Fackelman is our Supervisor of Fine and Practical Arts. And Tom Niziak is our Supervisor of Science. Now, I didn't ask for Sean Seid to speak, but our Assistant Superintendent is here tonight, as is our Business Administrator, Ron McLaughlin, and our Director of Special Services, Jean O'Connell, is joining us as well so that we can kind of work together to talk about this topic of our master schedule at Ridge High School. So, the first question that comes to mind a little bit is, why are we talking about the master schedule at Ridge High School? As you can see from everything that just happened in the last 40 minutes, we have a great high school. There's no doubt about it. We have great kids, we have great programs, but we're always looking to see, are there any things that we could be doing a little bit better? So one of the things that we have tried to take a look at over time is some of our data that we collect from our students. And I presented earlier this fall some survey information from the Ridge High School student and staff and parent climate survey. In particular, some of the results in the student survey we'll review a little bit again tonight. And we also had a report last January on mental health and wellness of our students. Jillian Shadis will be presenting again later this year. And of course, we want to keep an eye on these metrics, things like our suicide intervention reports, meetings that we have with students to support their mental health and wellness. And I don't want you to mistake the notion that a change in the master schedule would somehow be a magic pill, if you will, or some type of cure for the challenges that schools are facing across the state and the country when it comes to dealing with mental health and wellness of students. So please don't think that we're suggesting that just by changing the way we operate the school day, that suddenly we can make all of these difficult challenges go away. That's not the case at all. However, at the same time, we do want to think about our student schedule from the perspective of, can we maybe make a difference with some of the things that the students report to us as a challenge? Can we maybe do some things that might make school climate a little bit more enjoyable for the students? Can we make life a little bit easier for them? That's the question that we're really looking at when we talk about the master schedule at Ridge High School. So to be clear, we're not making any claims that simply by jiggling around time schedules that we can suddenly take away the ills of the world. The other issue that I wanted to mention as well is our district goals. That's the other reason that we're taking a look at the master schedule at Ridge High School, because we do have a few district goals, and one of the district goals was to focus on social and emotional learning. The other district goal was to focus on the achievement of our students. And in doing both of those things, obviously, the master schedule plays a big part. It's how we conduct our instructional business during the school day. It's also what determines a lot about life at Ridge High School, how things go at the building. So, of course, this presentation will be posted to our district website, and each of these 3 items as to why we're talking about this have some links that you can click into if you want to see some more details about those 3 things. But that being said, let me just point out a few of the survey questions that came up when we talked to Ridge students last spring through a survey. and we asked the kids if it was common for them to stay home from school when they are unprepared for a test or major assignment. That's kind of a staggering representation of how the students responded to that question. So it just gets you thinking, what kinds of things might we be able to do to see if we could maybe make a positive difference with some of the feedback that we're getting from the students. The different ways for GPA of college prep, honors, and AP classes motivate me to schedule courses that might overwhelm me with work. So again, this is a question that kind of speaks to something at Ridge High School, not directly related to the master's schedule per se, but something that maybe we should think about a little bit to see if there's anything that we could do that might influence this to be a response that is different than what we're seeing here. How much time students are spending on homework? Not surprisingly, a very significant amount of time. When I see students like those that we had singing, answering questions that their choral director asked them about all the different activities that they were doing, on the one hand, it's thrilling and wonderful and amazing, and on the other hand, I look at it and I think, wow, you know, it's almost a joke, the idea that they get to have a meal, to eat dinner. Just makes you wonder sometimes. Rate how the following contribute to your level of stress. 1 is least stressful and 5 is most stressful. When I took this out of the survey, I had to grab it in whole. There were a bunch of questions there, but obviously the one that jumps out is my grades. That big, tall, purple column on level of stress. Not surprising, but nonetheless, it just makes you wonder, can we do anything to make this a little bit better? Please read all the choices below and select one that best characterizes your opinions about study hall periods in your daily school schedule. So obviously when you talk about master schedules and looking at what you might be able to do for students, study halls play a big part in that. As you'll see when we go forward talking about the school day at Ridge, study halls offer a place of flexibility as to lunch periods. Because we offer so many lunch periods during the course of the day, that represents a time where students might be able to do something a little bit different with their lunchtime. But in this case, you can see that many of the students believe that study hall periods are important just to keep up with schoolwork. That's the blue, close to 52%. 40.9% said study halls are important for me. I need the time mainly to relax and have a break in my day. And the small fraction suggested that study halls were not very useful for them. I believe that the one single biggest challenge facing Ridge High School students is the big blue chunk, academic pressure, stress, grades. Read each statement below carefully and choose the one that best describes your situation with respect to sleep. This is on the topic of sleep. I apologize for some of the ... to make things fit, but you have 7% saying that they're regularly well-rested, feeling like they get enough sleep on a daily basis. 16.7% responded that most days I feel like I have had a good amount of sleep. The orange is 28.9%. I feel like I get enough sleep about half the time. The 31.2% purple, I rarely get enough sleep. And the green is, I rarely get enough sleep, and the main reason is because of the amount of activities and homework were the green and the purple. So it's a combination of all the things that they have going on between their classwork and their co-curricular and extracurricular activities that obviously has them very busy. Busy's good, but you have to wonder sometimes, is it too much? So, we've tried to organize this presentation into 2 parts. The first part talks about the fact that there are, of course, things that we can do, okay? Things that we can do that are independent of the master schedule, right? Regardless of whether you have block scheduling, and we'll talk about what that is, or rotating drop schedules, and we'll talk about that. or the traditional schedule that Ridge has now with a 9-period day, right? There's lots of things that we can try to do to make an influence on some of the things that we see that are somewhat concerning and that we might want to try to move the needle a little bit. So I've asked Mr. Krause to kind of jump in here at this point and talk a little bit about some of the things that are already going on at Ridge High School.
Thank you, Mr. Marcari. Good evening, everyone. When you talk about a master schedule, aside from any change that you might implement in any schedule, there are things going on now designed to help students at Ridge. We've made an effort, of course, to enhance aesthetics at the school. We've made an effort to work on school spirit and pride with some of the events we've had this fall. I have met regularly with student government folks in order to give students a voice in the process. We have additional support staff for our students. We've retained an outside organization, Effective School Solutions, that provides services to our students, new this year. We have supports for parents. So for instance, a couple months ago, we had a program called The Nurtured Heart in the PAC. If I weave down to the bottom about the events calendar, it's probably a good time to do that. You know, we have an events calendar that lists all the upcoming events at the high school. You know, some supportive, some informational. So there are programs available for parents as well to take advantage of. Staff training, we have in-service days in which we work with our staff on certain things. One of them will be a Nurtured Heart type of presentation. Others will be managing classroom stress for students. That's coming up. Student programming. I know Mr. Shello has worked in his health curriculum to implement things like mindfulness and de-stressing. Grading and homework practices. You know, we've worked on grading from the inside out with Rick Wormley and that focus. Promoting supports for students. Maybe things like outreach and crisis intervention that we do with our school SACs or our counseling department. So beyond any change that might occur in any schedule right now, there are things going on that we've implemented that are designed to help students and parents alike. Beyond that, we've looked at other things that might be going on county-wide, statewide, or even around the country. For instance, there was an article we came across in which there are school districts out there that are considering or have eliminated the weighting of classes, eliminating grade weighting. Other schools have mandated study halls for all students, to give them a chance to study during the day. Pullouts from study halls and or lunch, so sciences, instead of coming out of PE, which affects the delivery of that curriculum, would only come out of the lunch and study hall. There are some schools that do that and mandate that. Some schools that have option 2 also limit that to free up teaching staff for professional development, because a lot of them are allocated to study halls that they have to cover. And it also allows more time for a health curriculum to be administered. There are other school districts out there that limit their co-curricular involvement. They allow students to be in 1 or 2 clubs to try to prevent overreaching. Some limit athletic times for their teams, practice times. So these are just some of the other things that are independent of any schedule change that go on out there. And then, of course, here's a link to an article about stress relief and some school districts. I think this links to a school district in California that has a mental health curriculum that they're administering. They do relaxation techniques and mindfulness classes. That might be at the beginning of any given period during the day in a consistent fashion. So these are just some thoughts and things we've discovered out there as we've looked and explored this. They're independent of any schedule change, whether it be rotating drop or an A-B day with traditional blocks and what have you. So with that, I'm going to turn it over to Ms. Shadis. Thank you.
I will try to stay away from any of the other microphones as well. I took a look at some of these suggestions that Mr. Krause had mentioned and weighed the pros and cons, or as I prefer to put it, the opportunities and advantages and the concerns, and there are still many unknowns for a lot of them as well. First and foremost, what if we actually eliminated the weighting of courses? Well, we would hope that students would take the courses that would be most suited to them based on their academic level and not have to worry about it affecting their GPAs, not trying to take that more difficult course only for the GPA boost, but rather because they want to, because they're capable of it, etc. Other competitive high schools are certainly moving in this direction. I have a couple of links there, some in the Massachusetts area and others. We're not the only ones looking at this. We're not the only ones facing this problem. We're not the only ones trying to find a reasonable solution for it as well. Some of the concerns and the unknowns of unweighting the GPAs. Would the students actually take advantage of the opportunity? And a lot of our students, their stress is self-imposed. And when it's self-imposed, this isn't necessarily going to help if they're putting the pressure on themselves and still trying to keep up with their peers regardless. Everything that I've heard of in terms of admissions reps, colleges, things of that sort, they all say they do not penalize students in the admissions process for the policies and procedures of the school. And for the most part, yes, I believe it, but do we actually know what happens on the other side of the desk? Of course not. I'd like to think that what they've said in the past and all along the way is certainly true, but I don't know, I always have that little bit of self-doubt in the back of my head. As I said, we're not the only ones looking at this, so I actually met with my directors of guidance group in Somerset and Hunterdon counties. Last year we were talking about it, just about a year ago, and we surveyed over 100 college admissions representatives, about 97 responded. 55% of them recalculate the student's GPA anyway. Their methods may vary, but they don't use the straight GPA that's reported to them by the high school, whether it's weighted or unweighted. 51.7% say that academic rigor, honors, AP courses, etc. is the most valuable takeaway from the transcript, not the actual number of the GPA. In addition to kids putting the pressure on themselves, the bottom line is the students, we keep telling them rigor is extremely important. And when the colleges are looking at our school profile and what courses we offer, AP is going to be the most rigorous. So are the students going to place themselves there anyway, whether or not it makes a difference in the numbers of their grades, so to speak. This one would certainly not be popular with students, but what if we eliminated option 2 athletics? And the idea would be to put the students back into PE and health courses. We all know that exercise is a very healthy stress reduction agent. To have that during the day is certainly helpful. And then the wellness education portion of it, as Mr. Krause alluded to, putting things like mindfulness, just understanding mental illnesses and mental health a little bit better, more opportunities for that during the school day. Looking at it not necessarily from the student's point of view, but just from the logistical side of things, fewer teachers would be required to supervise those study halls, and therefore could be reassigned to something more like hall duties and safety aspects of the building as well. And fewer study halls would also open up classroom space, so that's another positive thing. Some concerns and unknowns for eliminating or reducing option 2. Certainly, those students have come to expect and plan for that study hall in their schedule. I don't know, I'm going to say maybe it's about 6 or 7 years we've been doing this now at this point, and it's sort of almost like a rite of passage. That's the one thing everybody asks me when I come in to do 8th grade scheduling. They always ask me about option 2. They don't want to give up that elective, but a lot of them still want to have that study hall opportunity, and certainly this would be taking that away from them. So that loss of an elective is certainly a big thing to consider. Currently, a lot of our students come out of PE or health class in order to fit in a lab, whether it is 4 days a week and then 1 day a lab, or more crucially, the AP labs, which have 2 lab days a week. Students who have 1 AP lab course are required to take a 5-day study hall with it. Those students aren't necessarily the issue or what we're discussing in this particular aspect. We're talking about the kids who have 2 AP sciences, that's 4 labs a week, and in the instances where they don't dovetail, meaning that the labs don't all 4 fit in the same period. If you have AP Chemistry that has a Monday, Wednesday lab, and you have AP Physics that has a Tuesday, Thursday lab, they dovetail. You have a study hall on Friday, you have a 5-day-a-week PE, that's fine. In a lot of cases, even if the labs do dovetail, the students are taking other courses where that's not possible. So they have their lab, say Monday, Wednesday, and then Tuesday, Thursday, Friday, they'll have PE, so 3-day-a-week PE, and then they have to make up that 4th day of PE somewhere else. Normally, it will come out of the other study hall period that fills in with their other lab, but for students who are also participating in music and other extracurriculars, sometimes they're making arrangements with teachers to come in during lunch or some other way to get in that time so that they are meeting the PE requirement and also not having to give up anything else. Again, if we limited the pull-out time, same thing, we would have more opportunity for health and wellness education. Students would have to carefully consider their elective choices, which I don't really think is a bad thing. I think a lot of kids just sign up for things without really thinking about what it is that they're signing up for. Or what it is that it entails. They would have to make sure that not only does it meet the certain requirements, but it would also have to be something hopefully that they are interested in. But the concerns and unknowns, students would have to choose between their AP Sciences and other electives. Could that affect our AP Science numbers? Double AP Science students would lose an elective, and how would that loss affect the music program, especially because a lot of those students, that's where the overlap is. And an increase in study hall numbers potentially would mean more staffing and room concerns, that is, if the students did opt to take a scheduled study hall instead at that point in time. So we have about 60 to 75 students that this 3-day PE affects every year. This year it's a little bit lower, it's closer to 60. So we are talking about a good chunk of juniors and seniors that this could affect. Mandating study hall. Sounds like a great opportunity. Required time during the school day for students to take a breather, relax, catch up, get ahead, see teachers for extra help, etc., etc. And it provides a viable time to pull those science labs and counseling appointments without impact on other courses. We do a lot of times take students out of study hall, actually whenever possible. We'll do that before we would take somebody out of lunch. So if they had a mandated study hall, that would make counseling appointments that much easier. We know that other schools do it. For instance, Montgomery High School, which is one of the schools that we do compare ourselves to. When I give the post-secondary report next month, I'll be talking about them. They have done this for years, and they have great college admissions rates. So something like this, mandating a study hall, would not necessarily affect college admissions in that aspect. Again, some of the similar concerns and unknowns. Reduced numbers could mean reduced staff in elective courses. Increase in study hall numbers, more staffing and room concerns, less educational opportunities because there would be a loss of an elective if a study hall was mandated. And again, what colleges would see from their end, especially in that changeover period where it's not consistent over the 4 years. There are certainly more logistical considerations as well. I pulled last week the number of students who have a study hall for marking period 2, just so we get a better idea of how many kids we're talking about. First of all, this marking period seniors currently have health, so that's why you see 0 under off-site and ridge sports, because there's nobody participating in option 2 for marking period 2. About 100 seniors, give or take, don't have a study hall. You look across the first line, total study halls that are not related to option 2, which in this case for seniors is all of them, is 364. There are 473 kids in the grade. These numbers don't necessarily account for structured study halls for some of our students with IEPs. They also, a lot of students do have that dovetail, so they have that 5-day-a-week PE, and then would have to have scheduled a study hall on top of that if they wanted it. And so, some who do and some who don't in that sort of circumstance. The freshman and sophomore numbers are a little bit lower because more tend to take their graduation requirement electives during those years, although we still have a good number who take a study hall and schedule it, which would be the total not option 2 column. Some of them just depend on the option 2 column, and as you can tell by the numbers, some students are double counted because they do indeed have both. With that, I'll pass it over to Nick.
Okay, thank you, Mrs. Jacobs. Okay, so again, trying to drive home the point a little bit that there are things that we can take a look at, and we certainly have taken a look at many of the issues that Ms. Shadis just spoke about, and in fact, some of those conversations have been off and on again over the years. Some things are easier to do than other things. Even if you don't change the master schedule 1 iota at Rich High School, you keep it a 9-period day, 42-minute classes, you run lunches periods 4 through 8. Even if you don't change any of that, some of these ideas still have their pros and cons and complexities in trying to make happen. Ultimately, you move to a whole nother level of challenge and complexity if you say, well, what about the schedule itself, right? The master schedule itself. So when we go here, you just have to understand that you're kind of stepping over into a whole nother range of possibilities, but at the same time, an area of unknowns. So sometimes as we go through some of these conversations, the honest answer to a lot of things is, well, we're really not sure yet because we haven't actually tried to run a schedule under a certain model. And when it comes to actually doing the schedule, you're going to run into challenges that have to do with things like your actual facility, how many science labs you have, how much space you have in your cafeteria, how many students you can feed at once. So those are the things that kind of move you into a much different conversation and a more challenging one. With that said, we did want to take a look at some possibilities just to give you a sense of what some other schools are doing and how it's different than the way Ridge operates. So with that, Mr. Krause is going to come up and talk some more about schedule.
Okay, I'm back. This is our schedule now. 9 periods, 5 lunch periods, classes 42 minutes. And I guess this has been in effect for quite a few years. There are a few different type of scheduling options out there that we've looked into that schools use. And I have a laser pointer too, I came prepared. There's an 8-period day, which is something that used to happen a while ago, where you'd have 7 scheduled periods, a lunch period. The periods would run between 45, 50 minutes. You can have a full block schedule where there are 80 to 90-minute periods. You'd run 4 each day. You'd again have 8 total classes. Most of those type of block schedules use a unit lunch where everyone eats lunch at the same time. And then you have a rotating drop schedule where you would have 6 classes a day with a unit lunch. And every subsequent day, 2 classes would drop out and 2 more would drop in, such that over a 4-day period, your class would meet 3 times for a longer amount of time. And then there are combinations of these type of schedules, which Mr. Miziak likes to call the Frankenstein schedules, which is a combination of 8-period day and a rotating drop and things of that nature. And we have some examples of this. Here's your, again, you're going to say, how come there are 10 periods there? Well, this is really 7 classes plus a lunch. It's just in between periods 4 and 8. You have 1 lunch period, and let's say you have periods 4 and 5 that are combined as 1 period you're in.